After Zhao Xingtong's victory last month, the Crucible has now seen 9 different countries produce Snooker World Champions. England has 11, Scotland and Wales have 3, Northern Ireland has 2, and then countries like Republic of Ireland, Australia, Canada, Belgium and now China all have 1 each. So the question now is, which country will be next? Currently, the highest ranked player from a country who has yet to claim a world title is the Iranian Hussein Fafai, who is currently sat at world number 24. Hussein has been a regular member of the world's top 32 for the past few years. However, he is still waiting for his first real statement victory as a professional. Although he did of course win the shootout 3 years ago, he is still waiting to make it to a first real major final. The short-term aim at the moment for Hussein, I think, is to grab some silverware, like a major ranking title, and also to get himself into the top 16, although we do know how competitive the sport is at the very top of the game right now. If he can discover that winning touch though, it's certainly not beyond the realms of possibility that he could land a world title, considering he is only 30 years of age. Mainland Europe is also continuing to produce more and more players year after year, and it may be on this continent where the next world champion could be produced, following on from Luka's success 2 years ago. Countries such as Poland, Switzerland, Austria, Latvia, Ukraine and Hungary now have representatives on the professional tour, and all of these players are of a very young age with promising futures ahead of them. It would be a stretch to say that any one of these are even within a fleeting consideration of being a world champion anytime soon. However, with the top of the sport dominated by British and Chinese players, it may be a while until we see a new country produce a world champion anyway, and by that point, some of these guys may have matured into experienced and perhaps seasoned winners. Elsewhere, India may be turning their attention to a new wave of players spearheaded by Ishpreet Singh Chadha, after having promising players such as Pankaj Advani and Aditya Mehta a few years ago not really go to the heights that I think people were expecting. But the country I am ultimately picking to answer my own question here is Thailand. Now, I'm not just letting a bias get in the way here, seeing as I will be going on holiday to this beautiful country in a couple of months, but I would suggest outside of Britain and China, this is the country who are consistently producing new talents on a regular basis. Of course, it was James Wattana who was the real flag bearer for the country back in the 90s when he got as high as number 3 in the world and also won a total of 10 professional titles as well as reaching 2 Crucible semi-finals. It did take a while for his fellow countrymen to start following in his footsteps, but we are now beginning to see his legacy being passed down. Techchaya Anu has long been one of the sport's most exciting natural talents, but unfortunately, he has never been able to really develop his game to the next level and actually now seems to be going backwards. Nopan Sankam then arrived, and he is a much more polished player who has knocked on the door of ranking events on multiple previous occasions. He has also beaten the likes of Sean Murphy and Luke Brissell at the Crucible over the past 5 years, and currently would stand as the country's best hope for a world title. Chachapong Nasa has just joined the professional tour as well after coming through the Asian Q School this year, and will be looking to make his mark pretty early. And who could forget the personality of Dechwat Poomjang, who, whilst he was never going to achieve massive things in the game, instantly became a name that streets will not forget in this sport. But in addition to all of this, it is clear that the enthusiasm for the sport there is on the rise, and that is so important, as you need a strong interest in any sport in order for real developments to be made. It is what helped China continue this conveyor belt of promising youngsters ever since Ding emerged about 20 years ago, and Thailand may just be following suit. An example actually coming from my own channel shows me I only have more viewers from the UK than I do from Thailand, and whilst that may just be my humorous nature bringing them back, I would suggest that also highlights a genuine interest in the sport. And it's not just the men's game either. Mink Nutcharat is a former women's world champion and has been on the professional tour, as is Baipat, who achieved the same feat a year later. Grassroots across the board in Thailand seems to be in such a good place, and whilst no one is currently in hot contention to win a world title at the moment, that may well change in the next 5 to 10 years if the country continues to regularly have new players on tour, and one of them may just become a new snooker star.